Sarah, and today we're talking about e-readers. But first, wait! If you visited the channel anytime since Monday morning, then you might have noticed that something has changed recently. Yes, that's right. Yesterday morning, the name of this channel officially changed from Stacks and Scones to Sarah Ann Reads. So you're probably wondering why I decided to change the name of this channel less than 2 months into it. As I mentioned in my very first video, which now looks super awkwardly named because the channel is no longer called Stacks and Scones, I do a ton of different things. In addition to my day job and various hobbies and things like that, I write, I blog, I design, I obviously do the booktube thing, and I've done social media stuff, so I am all over the place when it comes to my creative projects. One of the things that I started thinking about over the summer and have been starting to implement over the last couple of months is a cohesion of my major creative projects, specifically writing, design, and YouTube. The reason I decided to name it Sarah Ann Reads is because that's actually the hashtag that I've been using to track my reading posts on Instagram and Twitter for the last year and a half or so. On top of that, my blog and writing is tracked through Sarah Ann Writes, and the blog itself will soon be named Sarah Ann Writes. And part of it too is just a general recognition of, hey, this is Sarah, this is the person that is talking, and it's not just this disembodied brand of whatever. So that was my super long-winded explanation / announcement that the channel name has changed. Don't freak out. We're still hanging out, and if you want to follow my Instagram posts and Twitter posts about all of this fun stuff, you can find it with the hashtag Sarah Ann Reads. And now, back to your regularly scheduled programming. So like I said, today we are talking about e-readers. One of the other things that I mentioned actually in my very first video was that I do not use e-readers. I actually in that video said that I hate them, and I will caveat that exclamation with the fact that I don't hate actual e-readers. If you wouldn't read without an e-reader, but you will read with one, then I will, encourage you to the moon and back to use that e-reader. When I say that I hate e-readers, I mean that I personally dislike them pretty strongly for my own consumption of literature and media in general. This is something that has come up in discussions with friends, I've mentioned in a blog post before, and gotten lots of questions about why I don't use e-readers and why I never will. So I decided to share my 3 reasons with you guys today. Reason number 1. I am a paper person. Like, I still handwrite almost everything of my notes for various things. I still use a paper planner. I probably kill a lot more trees than, environmentalists would like, but I'm just a textile. I like to touch it, feel it, flip the pages, smell the books kind of person, and that's just not an experience that you can replicate using a machine. There's something that I just think is so nostalgic for me about curling up with a wonderful book with a hot cup of tea or hot chocolate in a warm fuzzy blanket when it's raining or snowing outside. It's just, oh my gosh, it's like the perfect thing, and you just do not get that same euphoria and just delightful, cozy, wonderful feeling when you're holding a tablet. Reason 1B. This is the super shallow reason that I don't use Kindles, but honestly, with Kindles, you do not get this. And just look how pretty it is, guys. Because really, it's super pretty. Reason number 2. We obviously live in an increasingly technological world. New technology is being introduced left and right from iWatches or Apple Watches or whatever they're called to Google Glasses and the Internet of Things, where homes and cars and everything is connected online, and more things can be done through the lens of technology. I am not opposed to technology at all. I'm not opposed to technology, the internet, any of those things. Obviously, I talk to you guys every week, twice a week on the internet. Clearly, I have no opposition to the internet. But at the same time, I do feel like technology is kind of taking over, and not in a great way. I am all for technology making our life a little bit easier and simpler. However, I've also seen the negative impacts that technology can have. How we can become so engrossed in technology that it doesn't make our lives simpler, it makes our lives more complicated. And on top of that, you see increasingly, particularly in the younger generation, that Technology is taking over their lives. Kids as young as, 18 months or 2 years old are engrossed in their tablets. They're obsessed with playing video games. They don't get outside. They don't interact with other people. All they use is a screen. As a result, while I'm an advocate for technology in general, I'm not an advocate for things that unnecessarily add technology to our lives, like e-readers. Yes, Kindles can be great in some respects because particularly if you travel a lot, you can bring a lot more books with you than I can ever bring because of, stupid things like weight limit restrictions and all of that jazz, which would totally not be an issue if like the extending bag charm from Harry Potter was like a legitimate thing, or if Higgidus Figgidus from The Sword and the Stone was like a legitimate way to pack, because both of those things would be awesome. Anyway, I also see the ways that technology is letting us disconnect. It's letting us get tunnel vision into this world of screens and computers and the online world that we neglect the people that are right around us. Reason number 3. A couple of years ago, I was pretty regularly following this mom blog called The Little Grape, and most days it was just funny, entertaining content about her kid, but there was one day in particular where she wrote this post about reading, and she posed the question, if you use an e-reader in front of your child, does it make a difference? And the thing she was trying to get at is that for a little kid, especially someone who's only 2, maybe 3 years old, when they see a tablet or an iPad, they register technology, they register screen. They don't register the same kinds of things that they register when they see a parent pick up a book. And I know for me personally, a huge part of why I am as big of a reader as I am is because of the influence of my parents, my mother in particular. She read to us a lot as children, and I constantly saw her with books on her own, sitting in the living room or in the family room, reading often late into the night, and I know that that is a big part of the reason that I would stay up super late with flashlights and everything, just engrossed in stories. So I very much attribute my love of reading to the example of my parents. So the thing that she talked about in this blog post is that even if you as a parent are a very avid reader, if you're reading, 4, 5, 10, 15 books a month, or whatever, if your child only ever sees you read on an e-reader, at least until they're a little bit older and they recognize, what a Kindle is, they are not going to register that you sitting with this screen is you reading, is you engaging in learning more about life be it through fiction or through nonfiction, and then all they ever see is their parent spending hours and hours and hours with technology, not their parent spending hours and hours and hours engrossed in stories. And I'll be perfectly honest, that is just not the kind of example I want to set or the message that I want to send to my future children. I want them to see me reading actual books and to see me sitting down and engrossed in this other world of story. I want them to grow up loving stories, and I would absolutely love for them to be able to look back on their lives when they're in their late teens or early 20s or around my age, and to be able to say, you know what? I know that one of the reasons I love to read as much as I do is because I saw my mom do it all the time. And that is the kind of gift that I want to give to my children when it comes to reading and engaging with stories, not technology, technology, technology. Well, there you have it, friends. Those are my 3 reasons for why I do not use e-readers. I fully recognize that particularly amongst avid readers, I am in the minority when it comes to this, but like I just said, those are my reasons for why I will not ever use e-readers. I would love to hear your thoughts on this general topic. If you are an e-reader advocate, I would love to hear your reasoning behind loving e-readers. Aside from the travel thing, like I get that it's way easier to travel with a Kindle and 15, 20, hundreds of books on one little tablet thing than it is to lug, 4 to 7 to however many books around with you when you're traveling. I totally get that argument. I still don't want a Kindle. Other reasons besides the travel one, I would love to hear what your thoughts are and why you have decided to use e-readers in your life. But especially if you are like me and you do not ever plan to use e-readers, I would love to hear what your reasoning behind it is. Do you agree with or have some of the same reasons that I do, or do you have other reasons of your own that have influenced your decision to not engage with this piece of technology? Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye. I'm like super awkward today, guys. This all worked really well in my head and it's not coming out quite the same way, but whatever. It's fine.